Thank you, David. TSN, the exclusive broadcaster of the Canadian Football League and proud home of the Grey Cup. Not a bad evening right now, but they're expecting heavy rains this evening. So the roof closed at Rogers Centre as we get set for a matchup of two teams hungry for a win coming out of the break. The Calgary Stampeders and the Toronto Argonauts. John Hufnagel has talked about a sense of urgency with his team, and he has made 3 starting changes on defense to shore up that problem spot. On the other sideline, Bart Andrus still looking for his first home win and looking to stop a 3-game losing slide, and that's the longest in the CFL this year.
Yeah, and it was August 1st of last year, the last time the Toronto Argonauts won here at Rogers Centre. Both these teams coming off losses that they really felt they should have won. Calgary Stampeders in a shootout versus the Edmonton Eskimos, and Toronto against the BC Lions.
First meeting was a 44-9 thrashing for Calgary, a score that was bloated by 3 Calgary defensive touchdowns in the second half. So here we go, and it will be Titus Ryan from his 14-yard line. And the speedster up across the 40. Great return to start. Up over or close to midfield for Titus Ryan, setting up shop for Henry Burris after a 40-yard return. Burris coming off a season-high 479 yards passing in a loss to Edmonton.
Yeah, very good game for Henry Burris. Did not throw an interception in that game. He'll have Joffrey Reynolds in the backfield. And in the receiving corps, Nick Lewis, as healthy as he's been all season long in that group. Ryan Thelwell will start at wide receiver for Kenyon Rambo. The offensive line goes with Tim O'Neill in his 3rd start at center.
Rob Lazio still injured, recovering from arthroscopic knee surgery. First pass of the game is a completion out to Jermaine Jackson in the flat, and he is drilled out at the Argonaut 50-yard line.
Well, Henry Burris talked about the front 4 for the Toronto Argonauts, and that is their strength in his opinion. Led up front by Kevin Huntley, who has 3 sacks. And Etienne Legaré is starting in the interior of that defensive line. There is the linebacking core. Zeke Moreno, probably his best football over the last 2 games in the last couple of years. And the corners are Jordan Younger and Willie Middlebrooks. But Byron Parker is back. The double blue.
Starting lineup brought to you by Nissan, fan and proud sponsor of the CFL. A run for Joffrey Reynolds and a first down for the Stampeders. Reynolds enters the game 6th in CFL rushing.
In his career, he's had 2,100-yard games, and 4 of them have been against the Toronto Argonauts.
Quiet last game, though. 7 carries, 33 yards. In that loss against Edmonton, it's a first down, and back to Reynolds, and not much into the teeth of that Argo defense as Kevin Huntley, the big defensive tackle, and Willie Pyle converge on the running back.
You know, I don't know if you can play any better than Henry Burris played against the Edmonton Eskimos in their last game. It was maybe the best game of the CFL season so far. A shootout. You mentioned the 479 yards passing for Henry Burris. Did not throw an interception. Almost perfect.
In fact, he's thrown just 1 interception in his last 5 starts. It's 2nd and 8. Burris with an attempt for Jermaine Jackson, and that went off the fingertips of Zeke Moreno and falls incomplete.
Zeke Moreno is going to get good depth in that drop and get underneath the throwing lane. And just as we talk, as Henry Burris has not thrown an interception in the last 5, almost threw one there.
So the Argos come up with a stop, and it's 3rd down. And Byron Parker returning to the Argo lineup. He'll be the return man and may see some action on defense. John Hufnagel opting not to try a 50-yard field goal attempt. He wants to pin the Argos, and Burke Dales puts it inside the 10. So they back up the Argos for their first possession.
Shop at Safeway. Swipe your club card and play Safeway $1 Million Touchdown to win. You could win $1 million or other great prizes, including the Epson Movie Mate 72, the high-definition DVD and music player combo projector, and the Epson Duet Ultra Portable Projector Screen. Or a DVD prize pack from Alliance Films featuring Stone of Destiny, now on DVD. Get in the game at Safeway.
We see and hear everything that goes on inside the so-called game.
Slayers gives the gamer full control of a human being in full-scale combat.
This is amazing.
I'm playing you.
How am I not dead yet?
You have to escape. Your wife and your daughter need you.
Got a mission. Break and never snap.
Gerard Butler.
You want to win? Turn me loose.
Gamer.
In theaters September 4th.
The Craft Celebration Tour is set. Congratulations to our 10 winning communities. Each of the winning towns will receive a $25,000 community refresh from Kraft. From August 22nd to August 31st, Sports Center will be broadcasting live from their towns. To learn more about the 10 winning communities, log on to tsn.ca/Craft Celebration Tour. The Craft Celebration Tour. 10 great towns in 10 summer days. Brought to you by Ritz Crackers. Spread the Ritz.
Wendy's CFL on TSN. Friday Night Football brought to you in part by Wendy's Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. It's way delicious. It's Wendy's. And by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona doing it right since 1939. Burkdale's a 37-yard punt has back Cody Pickett, and the Argos up. And they will start at their 8 to flag down as PK Sam back. And the Argo offense has a catch and is close to a first down, pending the penalty marker.
PK Sam, a question mark as to whether or not he could play in this game tonight. The quad injury coming back from his NFL tryout. And then hurt his groin right when the quad was recovering. They weren't sure, but there is some chemistry from the past between PK Sam and Cody Pickett.
Offside, Toronto, number 88. Half the distance to the goal, remains first down.
Rookie Mike Bradwell was ahead of the play, and that negates what would have been a good first down play for Bart Andrus to start. And now it gets a little deeper in Argo territory. 1st and 15 at the Toronto 4.
Penalties were part of the problem for the Argonauts early in the season. They thought they'd got rid of that issue.
So 1st and 15. Robertson releases from the backfield, and he gets a good gain and is jolted out. Up across the 15, up to the 17-yard line.
One of the things that Bart Andrus told us yesterday that he likes in Cody Pickett is that he quickly gets the ball out of his hand. He take his quick read, decide in a hurry where he wants to deliver the football, and then let it go and let the playmakers do the rest. And that's what he does there to Jamal Robertson.
You know, Robertson last week, as Matt Dunnigan mentioned, wasn't used enough as a running back. 8 carries, 8 yards, but they did throw to him half dozen times for 70 yards in the game against the Lions. 2nd and short, and another marker down as the Argos plunge forward.
Against Calgary in the first game, it was actually a closer game than the score would indicate between these two teams. Jamal Robertson, though, was out of that.
Time count violation, Toronto number 3. 5-yard penalty.
Another costly penalty.
You know, 61% of the penalties that the Argonauts have taken this year have been in the first half. It really has put them in a hole in a lot of games that they've had to try and climb out of.
So that's 2 first downs wiped out on 2 penalties as the Argos try to dig themselves out of an early field position disadvantage. Now it's 2nd and 6 to 7 yards, and Pickett has Robertson, and he is upended at the 20-yard line. Brandon Browner from the corner, and Robertson dropped the ball on contact with the turf.
Well, first of all, I love the vision from Cody Pickett to be able to, on the move as he steps up in the pocket here. He has a tremendous pocket presence. He'll step up, but he keeps his eyes down the field, and he catches Jamal Robertson out of the backfield. There's the big hit from Brandon Browner, but it looks like, yeah, he did get the first down by 1.5 yards.
Got to the 20, and so the Argos do put up their initial first down on their 3rd try.
Come on.
And now the reverse. Here's Reggie McNeil cutting it back, and McNeil up to the 24. 3 to 4 yards for Reggie McNeil in the first real run of the game for Toronto.
Here is the starting lineup for the Toronto Argonauts. We mentioned Cody Pickett, Jamal Robertson. That would be the backfield. PK Sam enters the receiving corps. Some I mentioned the chemistry between he and Cody Pickett from their days back in NFL Europe. The offensive line with Jeff Keeping in at guard beside Dominic Picard. And there's Rob Murphy out on the outside attacking.
4 for McNeil, 2nd and 6. Time for Pickett throwing, and Bradwell the intended target, and the ball falls incomplete. Nearly intercepted by the newcomer, John Eubanks. And defensive halfback for the first time for Calgary.
Yeah, John Eubanks had a chance at it, but it was Dwight Anderson who breaks on the ball and comes back to the football. He creates the tip and a chance for the Calgary Stampeders to turn it over deep in Argo territory. And it was Bradwell who just played defensive back there. He didn't even know it. But you can see the tight coverage. The Calgary Stampeders love to play tight man-to-man coverage. And the Argo receiver is going to have to try and shake him and get open and give Cody Pickett a target.
There's Titus Ryan awaiting as Justin Medlock left foots it downfield. Not a great kick. This one will bounce out at the Calgary bench, and the Stampeders will have the football at the Argo 51.
You will find a player that is happier to be back here in Toronto than Byron Parker. Now, he was a couple of weeks ago with Philadelphia Eagles. He was cut on a Friday. He said he caught the call at his hotel room at 10:30. He says by 10:45 he was on the road and coming back up to Toronto. He says it's like a family here and he's coming home. Now, he is primarily a cornerback, but tonight we will mostly see him playing special teams, punt return, kick return. Bart Andrews, though, does expect that his role will expand over the next couple of weeks as he gets used to the team and the new systems. He says he likes his speed and his quickness. Now, just quickly, the Eagles did call him 3 days later, asked him to come back, but he turned them down. He says this is where he wants to be. Guys.
Very good defensive play there by Lynn J. Shell. And Bart Andrews told us yesterday, Catherine, that they need touchdowns any way they can get them. They haven't had a defensive touchdown, a special teams touchdown. This guy can do both.
Sure he can. He can get that touchdown on the teams with these punt returns, kickoff returns. Tremendous athlete. Give him a little bit of a seam and he'll take advantage of it. He's got to be careful to hang on to the football. He doesn't have a lot of experience returning kicks.
2nd and 10. And Burris guns that downfield. Nick Lewis battles for it, but it falls. Incomplete pass in traffic. And Willie Pyle in the neighborhood.
Yeah, Jason Shivers was also in that trail position under Nick Lewis. Going to be to the right of your screen. Nick Lewis comes real tight to the line of scrimmage and to the right tackle, and you see number 6 for the Toronto Argonauts, Jason Shivers. He's in that underneath position, and he allows Willie Pyle to help him out from being up and above over top of Shivers. Both teams had a chance at interceptions early on here.
Great field position for the first 2 possessions for Calgary. Nothing to show for it. And there is Parker, and had trouble handling that. He ends up letting it go out. 44-yard kick, and again the Argos will start deep in their own zone. And they start again for the 2nd time at their own 8-yard line.
Going to avoid penalties this series.
2 backs, Jared Payton and Jamal Robertson. And Robertson meets up with Shannon James and company. These Stampeders revved up to be tougher against the run this week.
Yeah, they've made a couple of changes up front. Devon Claybrooks is added to the roster. He'll play in the interior of that defensive line. They've also added Tim Johnson to the linebacking core. Trey Blackman is injured, but Johnson is a pure run stopper at middle linebacker. And then you mentioned earlier, Chris, John Eubanks starting at halfback for Devonzo Tate.
And because it's 2nd and long, Johnson and Claybrooks both come out. They go to a 3-man front. And Pickett over the middle and nearly intercepted. Close call there as Cody Pickett nearly got picked by Dwayne Carpenter, who had a big defensive touchdown in the first meeting of the year.
Well, what a game that he had. Carpenter played outstanding in that first matchup between these 2 teams. He had 3 tackles, a sack. He forced a fumble, had 2 fumble recoveries, and almost added to those totals with this interception. All he did was forget to hang on.
Argos better be careful. In the last 3 meetings against Calgary, that Stampeder defense has scored a touchdown, at least a touchdown in each meeting. In fact, 5 in the last 3 games against Toronto.
You might want to even just give up 2 here and get that field position back. They're not going to.
Medlock with a 28-yarder, his first punt. This one better. But at midfield, Titus Ryan has it. And he bounced down at the Argo 48-yard line. So again, Henry Burris enjoying great field position. Nothing to show for it so far.
Henry Burris is really starting to heat up when you take a look at what he's done over the last 5 outings. 1,500 yards. That's 314-yard average per game. And maybe most importantly, protecting the football. 10 touchdown passes over those 5 games. Just the one mistake, just the one interception. Now, early on in this game, Zeke Reynolds had a chance. And Jason Shivers had a chance. Interceptions.
Maybe a little rust after an extra week off for a couple of offenses. Here's Reynolds taking the toss right side, and Joffrey Reynolds is bounced out at the Argo bench after good first down production.
It's a huge improvement for the Toronto Argonauts this year on defense, especially their run defense, where they've improved by over 500 yards over this time last year. So basically that's over 70 yards per game improvement. Part of the reason for that, Kevin Huntley up front, Claude Harriott playing outstanding, and they're big bodies in the defensive line.
Peter Kuharchuk's defense is ranked second in yards and second against the run, 2nd and 5. And out in the flat, there's the fumble, loose ball. Who's got it? Off a Calgary Stampeder. Looked like it hit Ryan Thelwell. And now they're going to decide whether or not it's Calgary football or whether it's an incompletion. Looks like it's Stampeder ball.
Well, we'll see first of all whether or not this was a catch and a fumble or an incompletion. It looked like he did have possession and then fumbled the football when he was hit by Jason Shivers. The Argos, Willie Poole, has got to understand the rule. In the Canadian Football League, it's the last to touch it. It looked like he tried to recover it. Ryan Thelwell is the last to touch it.
And all the Argos had to do was bat it out of bounds, but Calgary retains possession on the Copeland catch and then fumble, and big hole for Joffrey Reynolds straight ahead and down to the 11 with a first down run.
See Claude Harriott, he was surprised that Joffrey Reynolds even had the football. He comes from here, and as he's going to slide in to make the tackle on Joffrey Reynolds, looks like he was fooled. It looked like he had him right in the backfield, and then he tried to figure out who has the football. That's a great handoff and deception from Joffrey Reynolds to put it in that left side. Claude Harriott had no idea who had it.
14 straight ahead for Joffrey Reynolds, who had just 20 yards on 8 carries in the first meeting. First down at the 11, back into the hands of JR off the right side. And he's down close to the 6. And 5 more for Reynolds.
Not surprising for a couple of reasons that Joffrey Reynolds involved often early in this game against the Toronto Argonauts. There he is in the CFL rankings coming into this game tonight. Likes to play against Toronto. I mentioned the 400-yard games he has in his career. He also has his best game ever as a pro against the Toronto Argonauts back in 2004.
189 yards in that game. He has 29 so far in the first quarter. And flag flies. Their early movement on that Calgary offensive line.
Procedure. Calgary, number 52, a 5-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
62 is Jesse Newman. That's the closest number that might be a guilty party. The left tackle out of Powell River, BC. They go back 5, so it's 2nd and 9 now. Burris steps up, and Henry Burris taken down. Good defensive play there to negate Henry Burris is a running threat. And that is Etienne Legaret.
When you have a bye week as a coach, you have lots of time to draw up all kinds of different plays. Look at all the motion prior to the snap of the football for Henry Burris. He has receivers and running backs running in every different direction. Ends up going on the quarterback jaw. Joffrey Reynolds started at the right, ended up at the left of the formation. Pretty good tackle there to limit the gain.
Legaret got his hands on him, but Claude Harriott finishes him off, and Sandro DeAngelis comes on. 90% on the year. Only guy better, Justin Medlock at 95, as that's a chip shot for Sandro to open the scoring here at Rogers Center. A 17-yard field goal for Sandro DeAngelis. And the Stampeders take the lead. Sandro back in Niagara Falls, showing off newcomer young Massimo, his 3-month-old son, to all the family in Niagara Falls, and many of them in attendance here tonight. As he punches it downfield. Andre Dury with a burst. Up across the 40-yard line. Good return for the former York Lion. And better field position finally for Cody Pickett.
Just works his way up the field, and that first 4 or 5 steps to the right and then cutting back into the middle is what allows his blockers up front to give him a little bit of an alley, and the best field position that Cody Pickett has had all game.
Under 5 minutes remaining in the first quarter, the Argos have not had a first quarter touchdown since week 2. Pickett to work. Out of the backfield again, Robertson's been a favorite target so far. And there's the newcomer middle linebacker, Tim Johnson, a 6-year NFL veteran, 5 of those years in Oakland. And a late flag is tossed.
Odell Willis was in there as well. At the end of that, we're pushing and shoving. We'll see what the officials have here. Cody Pickett, look at his first start versus the BC Lions in 09.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Calgary, number 98. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
It is Odell Willis, and it's 15 yards deeper into Calgary territory.
Looks like Jamal Robertson was down, and Odell Willis started to cruise.
9 for Robertson, 15 on the penalty, a 24-yard gain. And Pickett back to the air, and that one off the outstretched fingertips of PK Sam.
I mentioned the first start in 2009 for Cody Pickett against the BC Lions, a game that the Argos really felt that they had until that fourth quarter. And you look at the numbers, I have to say it was a good first game for Pickett in 2009 with 326, 1 touchdown, and most importantly, he didn't make the big mistake. No interceptions for Pickett.
John Hufnagel mentioned he changed the personality of this Argo offense. At one point in the game, 19 consecutive passes for a team that had done the bulk of its offense on the run this year. Here's 2nd and long, and they do run off the left side, and it's been a stouter run defense so far tonight as Dwayne Carpenter closed in and brings down Jamal Robertson.
Well, right now they're using Jamal Robertson in a couple of different ways. That's only his 2nd carry out of the backfield, but he has caught the ball as well, as you mentioned earlier, Chris, and he averages 15 touches per game. Earlier in the season when these two teams played, they all kind of forgot about Jamal Robertson in the run game. He only had 5 carries, 28 yards there.
So Justin Medlock comes on. How about his game 2 weeks ago against the Lions? 7 for 7, and 4 of the kicks were beyond 45, 3 over 50 yards in length. He's missed 1 this year, and he made that, and then they called a penalty on the Argos. And this one is dead center again. He is now 19 of 20 on the season. And Bart Andrus' crew has evened the count with under 3 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Well, it starts with good field position on the special teams. You get a chance. Andre Drury sets up a chance for points for Bart Andrus. And you have to consider early on in this game with the field position they had in the first couple series that this is a win for this Argonaut team that is struggling a little bit at home. Not a little bit. That's an understatement.
Yes.
Struggling a ton at home.
2 most penalized teams in the league. Bart Andrus' team took a couple penalties early to stay backed up in their own zone. And, you know, that Odell Willis penalty does put the Argos into field goal position to get 3 back.
And those are the ones that John Hufnagel does not like. I don't think there's a coach that does. It's penalties after the whistle, the penalties that are controllable if you just maintain your focus and composure. John Hufnagel was very relaxed yesterday. He had a lot of time in the bye to evaluate and do what coaches do in the bye, which is self-scout. Take a look at your own team. What are the holes we need to fill? Where do we need to improve on? And of course, the first one on that list was their run defense.
Been a quiet start here for these 2 teams coming out of the bye break.
Well, potentially we had a couple of early turnovers that were drop balls on defense.
Titus Ryan from his 11.
Hey, Dickie,
And he's brought down at the 29-yard line. So better downfield cover for the Argos there. And Delroy Clark with the tackle. Asked Henry Burris yesterday, was that the best you've ever played and lost? And he recounted a game playing back at Temple against Pittsburgh when he racked up 52 points, over 500 yards, 5 touchdown passes. They led 52-33 going into the fourth quarter, and they told him, stop passing, we'll sit on the lead. They lost 53-52.
It's amazing how athletes remember those ones, the ones you lost.
First down at the 30, some early movement, flag down, a pump from Burris, long out, and there's Brett Ralph, usually on his own, and he has the completion. Looked like the Argos jumped offside.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Brett Ralph catch a few footballs in this game tonight. The reason being is the style of defense that the Argonauts like to play. They like to play cover 3. And I'll explain that as this game goes on. But basically, it's 3 guys deep in zone coverage. And often the weakness in that kind of coverage.
Offside, Toronto, number 92. That penalty is declined. Second down.
Claude Harriot offside. They take the 9-yard gain instead, setting up second 1.
And the weakness in that type of defense is out to the outside in the flat areas. And that's usually where Brett Ralph catches a lot of footballs.
Well, they hunker down second and 1, and Burris will plunge straight ahead. Not much there off the left side behind Jesse Newman, but looks like there's enough for a first down. Henry with 8 carries, 50 yards in the first meeting against the Argonauts, and got to call the chains out. Not sure if Burris did get enough. Although it looks like the nose of the football is on the 40, which is where the chain was reaching to.
Get inside of a yard, you will get a look. The officials will bring the chains out, gives the coaches a chance to go over a few scenarios if they get it or if they don't get it. And it looks like they'll have it by an inch or 2.
By the nose of the football, it's a Hufnagel first down.
By the way, when you play that style of zone defense like the Argos play, it also helps you in your run defense. And that's the area that the Argos on defense have improved tremendously.
Argos have not allowed a 100-yard rusher yet this season. First down, Calgary. There's that zone read fake to Reynolds, and Burris pulls it down, runs for a first down, and he'll step out untouched at the Calgary 54-yard line. 14 for Henry Burris.
Let's explain that zone defense that Peter Kuharchuk likes to play in Toronto and that Henry Burris is facing right now. We're going to put the corner on the outside, Jordan Younger, up in the flat area and have his inside halfback, Linjay Shell, drop to the outside third of the field. Safety Will Poole drops to the middle, Middlebrooks to the outside third. Basically, you have 3 deep, and that's why it's called cover 3. It is a simple game.
Out of a tight end formation, Reynolds, big hole straight ahead. Willie Pyle the tackle. Joffrey Reynolds has enjoyed some run success here in this first quarter.
One of the reasons that you get that when you have the 3 deep zone, then you have underneath in coverage, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you have strong underneath coverage, 3 over the top, which should protect you against the deep ball. And in zone, everyone is facing the line of scrimmage. So the defensive backs can help in the run game.
8 for Reynolds, bunch formation left side, but Burris looks the other way and can't hook up with Jermaine Copeland on 2nd and 2. And now John Hufnagel has a decision to make. And Burke Dales from the punt team comes on.
See, Jordan Younger plays the zone perfectly here because he's out outside on the corner here. He's just going to drop off into the flat, allow Henry Burris to drop it out there to Copeland, and then he just breaks on the football. Even if Copeland catches that, Jordan Younger makes a sure tackle in the open field, and that's the defense dictating to the offense what they want done.
So again, Byron Parker drops deep. Has yet to get a return. Dale's trying to angle this one again. And this one will be unplayable, and they will spot it at the 15-yard line.
Not a penalty if it's inside of the 20. So that's a good kick. Get that football inside the 20 and out of bounds.
Burkdale's improving. Last game against Edmonton, remember Tristan Jackson had those big returns. His net was 30.8. So he's had a much better net so far in this game with no returns yet. That just 33 yards, but well placed. So under a half minute remaining in a quiet first quarter at Rogers Center. And Cody Pickett to work. There's Jared Payton out of the backfield. He has his legs cut out from underneath by the newcomer John Eubanks, the former Washington Redskin.
Good reaction by John Eubanks, a little older, 31 years old. He comes into the lineup to try and get a little more veteran presence, veteran in the game, not necessarily the CFL, but just the ability to recognize, pattern read, which means if one guy's going deep, there's got to be an underneath guy. Jared Payton was the underneath guy, and he reacts quickly.
John Hufnagel mentioning to us yesterday, I didn't bring in potential. They were trying to shore up what has been a leaky defense, and he brought in experienced guys like Clay Brooks and Johnson and Eubanks. Second down, and Cody Pickett drops it off. Robertson breaks the tackle, cuts back, and has a first down at the 35-yard line. That's the final play of the opening quarter. Argos have a fresh set of downs when we come back.
But you've got to think that first quarter was a win for the Toronto Argonauts. They've struggled big time here at Rogers Center, and they had terrible field position for the first couple of series.
Missed opportunities for Calgary. They were playing on a much shorter field, and yet it's 3-3.
That's right, and that comes back to haunt you later on in a football game. You've got to take care of those opportunities when you get them.
So the Argos trying to snap that 9-game home losing streak. Last year here at Rogers Center, the Stampeders ended a 7-game losing streak in Toronto. They have won just 2 of the last 10 meetings. A first down, toss to the right side, and Robertson gets stood up and is held to 4, and there's that newcomer in the middle, Tim Johnson.
You know, there's a simple rule for running backs. If you give them the football, it's the back half of their carries where they become most effective, and that's usually around the 10-15 mark. You can see Jamal Robertson is no different. 3 games under 10 carries, 18 yards rushing, 0 touchdowns. 4 games where he was over 10 carries, over 100 yards rushing, and 3 touchdowns. It's usually the last 5 carries, the last 6 carries where the defense is a little tired, where they can really pick up some yards.
2nd and 5, Pickett to the air, and there's a drop. And it is Jamal Robertson. Incomplete, and the Argos will have to kick it away.
Well, Cody Pickett is using Robertson in a big way. Comes out of the backfield here. Dwayne Carpenter pretty tight. I'm not sure he gets the first down even if he hangs on to that football, but so far I like what I've seen from Cody Pickett. He's been poised in the pocket, but more importantly, he's making quick decisions, getting rid of the football.
Conferring with Kerry Joseph on the sidelines. As Medlock kicks it away. Better boot. That is Ryan.
Wants to shoot.
Ran right out of the shoe and up to the 31-yard line. That's where the Stamps will go back to work on offense. Tied early second quarter here at Rogers Center. Here again, Catherine Dolan.
Guys, the bye week came at the wrong time for Nick Lewis. He says that you never want to go into the bye coming off a loss, and he had one of his best games of his career against Edmonton, and unfortunately it was a loss. He had to take that into the break and think about that during the week. That being said, he did get a chance to go home where he's from, which is Texas. He spent some time with his family. His mother, his grandmother got some of that home cooking that he said he loves, that catfish and that sweet potato pie that he so much loves. But he says now with that break and that extra time, he certainly has motivation coming into tonight's game against the Argonauts.
He always talks about that sweet potato pie, but he never brings any back.
Well, I'm wondering, hey, that's going to be something we're going to have to chat about. Get a little of that sweet potato pie. And I hope he didn't eat too much, and he's still in his playing weight. But you know, the thing with Nick Lewis is he is as healthy as he's been, and I talked to him about his hip injury that was really bothering him in the first 4 or 5 games of the season. And that break be able to let that injury just settle out, little sweet potato pie, and he's good to go down the stretch here.
It was kind of a throwback game against Edmonton for the Calgary offense. It was all based on the super slots. Copeland and Lewis both had huge nights. Second and long here. Burris throwing it up for Copeland, who can't run underneath it. He drew triple coverage on the play. And the Stamps offense still looking for traction.
Well, Jason Shivers has done a nice job of being in the trail position. And this is a defense where he will play man-to-man on Copeland and just let him get by him and then trail him underneath, knowing he's got help over the top. It was Willie Pyle that was helping him deep, and then Jordan Younger left his man, so Jermaine Copeland ended up being triple covered on the play.
So Dales has punted 3 times, and Byron Parker really hasn't had a chance at a return yet, but should get one here as he awaits the Calgary punt at just inside his 20-yard line. Big rush. Dury almost got there. In fact, he may have got a piece. And it bounces down around the 45-yard line. A no yards call as Keon Raymond tosses down Byron Parker. But Andre Dury with heat off the edge, and it's just a 30-yard kick.
Yeah, Dury comes around the corner, and he's close to getting a roughing the kicker call. Burke Dales does not go down.
Yards. Toronto, number 25. A 5-yard penalty. First down.
From right to left, he doesn't go down, so he must have made contact, because he did make contact with that kicking leg. When the leg's in the air, you're not allowed to touch it, but unless he touched the football.
I thought on that one replay from behind, it looked like he might have got a piece of the football.
Yeah.
Sets up the Argos at the 52. Pickett looks one way, then the other, and Tom Johnson says, "You're not going anywhere." Johnson with the sack. That's his 3rd of the year, 2nd against the Argos. Calgary had 6 against Kerry Joseph in the first meeting of the year.
John Hufnagel told us that he wanted to get some bigger bodies up front. That's why he brought in Devon Claybrooks to help out in the middle, but he doesn't have any problem with Tom Johnson's size. It's just under 300 pounds in the middle of that defense.
So the first sack of the game sets up 2nd and long for Pickett, who's looking downfield, and here's Bradwell underneath. Bradwell doesn't even get back to the original line of scrimmage, taken down at the Toronto 50, and this defensive stalemate continues.
Well, more surprising when you think back to the Calgary Stampeders' offensive output against the Edmonton Eskimos. More surprising that they're not getting the offense going. I think there's been a lot of changes in the Toronto offense. I think of Pickett going in for Kerry Joseph, and the offense changing to suit his skills better, but a little bit surprising that Calgary hasn't moved the ball better.
Penalty marker down. Titus Ryan at his 21, and he is drilled. Heavy hit downfield there, and that's Jason Shivers limiting the return to 4, but again, a penalty marker on the play. We'll sort out the marker when we come back. Still tied in Toronto. Well, the Stampeders were offside, so they will punt over once again. The ball right at midfield.
Titus Ryan back to receive this punt. Talked to John Hufnagel about his development as a receiver. He started Ryan Thelwell tonight in that spot. He said he's slowly getting better every game, but he sure likes his abilities on the return teams.
A little surprised that the Argos would take the penalty, in that they did a good job of covering the last punt, and well, they'll try and back them up a little further. But remember, Ryan got up to the 24-yard line, so find out if this is an improvement. That kick bouncing down inside the 20, and that's perfect just inside the 20, and so they get the 5 yards extra.
Well, we talked about it right out of the gate in the game that Henry Burris and the numbers that he put up against the Edmonton Eskimos. The Calgary Stampeders lost this game because Edmonton had the ball last and Ricky Ray found Fred Stamps, but 479 yards passing for Henry Burris. This offense looked outstanding and almost unstoppable. It was one of those who gets the ball last type of games, and that's why a little surprising here that Calgary has been real slow out of the gate offensively. Now give credit to that Argo defense.
So first down, and there's the fake to Reynolds, and Nick Lewis sheds the tackle attempt by Lynn J. Shell and has a first down up near the 35-yard line.
Mentioned the slots and how important they become. With Kenyon Rambo out of the lineup for the Calgary Stampeders, Henry Burris will go more and more to Nick Lewis and to Jermaine Copeland inside. That's where his comfort zone is. Henry Burris, if he ever gets in trouble, he used to be able to go to Kenyon Rambo outside. Changes out there, so Lewis and Copeland are the go-to guys.
Now Lewis and Teo Johnson in tight end formation, and now over the middle, and Nick Lewis up to bring it down. Pretty play there from Burris to Lewis, this time as a tight end.
Yeah, he lines up tight end to the right side of the formation, and he's right here, going to come straight down the middle, and there's pretty tight coverage by the Argos, but Nick Lewis climbs the ladder and goes up and gets it.
Don't think those slots don't enjoy a little more work. Lewis says, when I make a play, I provide a little energy, and Copeland always seems to as a leader off the left side, and Reynolds crashing into Argo territory down to the Toronto 50-yard line, and he has 6 more.
Every time that Joffrey Reynolds goes in one direction, Henry Burris goes in the opposite direction. Sometimes he has the ball, sometimes he doesn't. One of the skills for a quarterback, it's something that's overlooked, is his ball handling skills in the running game. He's giving the running back to giving the ball to the running back, Joffrey Reynolds. He's got to get it in the right spot, and his play fakes are very important down the road.
Right on his season average of 6.1 yards a toss. Here's the option. Burris kept it, and he'll be dropped just short of the first down. Looks like he's under a yard away from a first down for Calgary.
Decision time here, because it is about a yard or just inside of it. Henry Burris, you know what he wants to do.
I think it's a full yard, and
they're setting out the punt team.
Bert Dales comes out again. So respect for that Argo defense. You know, I think the Argo defense has been completely overshadowed by the offensive problems this year, but this Argo defense is different than the one that won in 2004 and was a dominant defense for most of the last few years. It's different, but it's still very effective.
It is, and last week against the BC Lions, for 3 quarters, they played very good defense and then sort of ran out of gas in the 4th quarter.
Let him go!
Dales again, that angled effort. One hop. Here's Parker. Trying to make something happen, and he is upended across the 10. 42-yard kick, 7 on the return. Well, it's been a familiar theme so far tonight. The Argos deep in their own territory. They will start at their own 12 on this possession, but somehow have kept this game tied at 3 in the opening half. One back for Pickett, and he hands it off to Robertson. And well, this run defense has been shored up, hasn't it? Malik Jackson was waiting for Robertson in the hole.
Malik Jackson steps up. He's going to rotate in for Dwayne Carpenter and play in the linebacking core. The reason that he's back there, especially on first down, is to stop the run. One of the adjustments that John Hufnagel made during the bye week. Put basically a converted defensive lineman in the linebacking core. You had Tim Johnson, a pure run stopper, and then Carpenter comes in on pass downs.
2nd and 9, time for Pickett, and a crossing route, and Chad Lucas, the first catch of the game. He's taken down very close to a first down. Looks like it will be enough to move the chains.
A crossing route for Chad Lucas, become a bit of a deep threat for the Toronto Argonauts as they try and find out the best combination they can in the receiving core. And this has been an issue that they've been working on all season long. The addition of PK Sam helps. Chad Lucas emerging and making some plays as he did against BC. 146 yards versus the Lions.
Those numbers in just 3 games. So Lucas looks like a keeper. PK Sam will bolster that much talked about receiving core. And that's a nifty grab by Robertson from his shoe tops at the 30-yard line.
See Jamal Robertson, number 25 coming out of the backfield. Done that a couple of times and curled out. This time he curled in, makes a nice catch. Or did he?
Did he? That's a pretty nifty play. 5 catches, 53 yards. And the Argos moving up to the line of scrimmage. No challenge flag from the Stampeders. And 2nd and 3. Quick hitter, Reggie McNeil on the edge. And he's taken down on a sure tackle there by the newcomer, Eubanks. And that'll be close to another Toronto first down.
Reggie McNeil is their leading receiver coming in. They get Chad Lucas, who helps. And we talked a little bit about PK Sam coming back from his trial in the National Football League. Bit of a rough start to Sam's professional football career. He was a 5th-round draft pick of the New England Patriots, 164th overall a few years back, 2004. In fact, he was the youngest player in that draft year. And it didn't quite work out. He left Florida State early to go into the draft.
First down, gun to McNeil. Another completion up at the 41 as Cody Pickett works underneath against that Stamp defense.
You know, he went in, I think that he came out of Florida State thinking that he was going to be in the 1st or 2nd round of that draft in 2004. That didn't happen. He dropped to 164th, and he still is not sure why. And then bounced around, got another tryout this year back in Buffalo, thought he'd give that a try. Didn't work out. Now he wants to settle in here. He does have chemistry in the past with Cody Pickett.
2nd and 3, Pickett for Lucas. Here's a battle that Lucas was looking forward to against Brandon Browner on the corner. Browner with the defensive play, but is slow to get up.
Chad Lucas thought there was a little bit of pass interference on that slant route. Brandon Browner has not got up yet. He looked like he was grabbing his left knee. Quick slant coming from the right of your screen. Pretty good timing, I thought, by Brandon Browner, but you could see it looked like his left knee might have locked out on him. As he went down, he grabbed the left knee in a hurry and has not got up yet.
Already playing with a broken bone in his foot. And Pat Clayton out to check out Brandon Browner. What a collection of corners we have in this game, with Browner and Anderson having outstanding years for Calgary. Willie Middlebrooks and Jordan Younger, 2 good corners who are still at that position even with the return of Byron Parker. So you've got 4 corners in the game, or 4 positions, and 5 very good corners on the field.
I wonder if Cody Pickett goes right out there to the replacement for Brandon Browner if he can't return. Because you know the coaching staff for the Toronto Argonauts are watching Browner go off, and they'll watch to see if he comes back. Especially with the style of defense that Calgary plays. They play that tight man-to-man. Want to go after the replacement.
Under 4 minutes left in the half. Brian from his 34, Brian Crawford right there, but a little too close, as they're going to call the 15-yard no yards against the special team leader of the Argonauts.
Well, let's take a look. Titus Ryan. It's the first goal of the returner, is to catch the ball in the air, and you can see a couple of Argos inside that 5-yard area. 15-yard penalty. If the ball would have hit the ground first, it's only a 5-yard penalty.
Go up to the 50-yard line again. Burris's offense enjoys good field position, but have generated just 3 points so far. And Henry steps up. And he'll hit the deck, as bearing down was Jason Shivers, and Burris just gets back to the line of scrimmage. Well, the Kraft Celebration Tour continues tomorrow live from Amherst, Nova Scotia, as SportsCenter is on the road, touring 10 winning Canadian cities in 10 days. Catch it live tomorrow at 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 Pacific, and maybe you'll see Jay Onright and Dan O'Toole in the mosh pit once again. What a great tour it's been. Dutch and Jennifer in Dauphin, Manitoba tonight. 2nd and 10 should be the final play before the 3-minute warning, and the receiver slipped on the play, and we do have a penalty marker as well. which might explain the slip.
No, but you know what? There was contact from Zeke Moreno. He's arguing this in a big way, and I don't blame him because he had his position and was square to the line of scrimmage. Nick Lewis came right into him, made contact. Moreno defended his ground, gave him a shot, and Lewis went down. That's why Nick Lewis went to the ground.
And Moreno's on fire right now. And he was
pass interference. Toronto, number 8, 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Yeah, and I don't think this is a good call at all, and I'll explain why. Moreno is allowed to be square to the line of scrimmage and protect his area. He understands that rule, and Nick Lewis ran right to him.
And he still is barking at the official as they give the 3-minute warning here, first half in Toronto. Okay, for excitement, it has not been a classic so far, but hold on, because Rona at the half will get guys to provide excitement. First, let's take a look at Zeke Moreno.
Yeah, you see him just to the right of your screen there. He's protecting his ground and is allowed to do that.
Gave Calgary a first down, and Joffrey Reynolds with a run down to the Argo 46.
Take a look again, and Zeke Moreno was real upset with his pass interference because it extended this drive. And I don't blame him. See, he's square right beside the official there. He's square to the line of scrimmage. The ball has not been thrown yet. Nick Lewis comes right to him like he's going to block. A defender is allowed to protect his area and keep Lewis off him. Then the ball is thrown, and that's just a terrible call because that's not pass interference.
Now we've got another penalty to sort out as tempers flared in the
objectional conduct. Calgary, number 62. Objectional conduct. Toronto, number 92. Offsetting fouls, second down.
Claude Harriott and Jesse Newman got tangled. Kevin Huntley was barking too, but those penalties negate each other. The 4-yard gain stands. It'll be 2nd and 6. Jesse Newman, who missed training camp with an ankle injury. How did he do it? In training, swinging a sledgehammer. That's the way the guys do it in the trenches. 2nd and 6. Here comes the rush. Burris in trouble. And got it away, and does he get to the line of scrimmage? I'm not sure.
I think it might have. I think it was probably about a yard over the line of scrimmage. The line of scrimmage was the Argonaut 50.
Well, you know what?
He might be short. You're right. He might be about 2 yards short because it's actually the 46. They're just above it. If the ball was placed, I think that bounced just over the 50.
Intentional grounding. Calgary, number 1. Third down.
That's the right call. He got back to the line of scrimmage prior to the Reynolds run of 4 yards, and he's still arguing he got to the 50, but he had to get to the 46.
That's right. It was the 46 where the ball was placed. That's the line of scrimmage. John Hufnagel upset with that, but the original line of scrimmage was the 50. The ball passed over that, but only by a yard or 2, so that's the correct call.
The Stamps don't agree with it, but it turns out to be a big loss back to the Calgary 49. Two returners go back, and Dales with a great boot. Driving Parker back to the 5. Might have something, and then got tripped up and is down at the 17-yard line. Check that. Will Poole that time on the return. A 58-yard punt. 9 on the return. And as I mentioned, these guys can provide a spark at the half. Jock Matt, Schultze, and Dave Randorf will dissect this opening 30 minutes.
I like the play on defense by both teams. They've played pretty well defensively. Cody Pickett's made some good decisions.
And this is the 5th time the Argos have started inside their 16-yard line. Pickett with lots of time, and now gets it away, and Chad Rimple has the catch.
That's the good news for Cody Pickett, is that he did have that much time because he looked to the left side of the formation there and went through the progression of about 3 different receivers before he delivered that football. And that offensive line has been suspect, to say the least, over the first few games. Given up 28 sacks so far, which is dead last in the Canadian Football League coming in, but they appear to be improved tonight.
13 more sacks than this time last year. 2nd and short, and a short drop. And that pass complete. PK Sam the catch in front of Ronnie Amati. So Philip Kenwood Sam has his first catch back in an Argo uniform. Last year in 6 games, he had 499 yards. So basically on pace for 1,500 yard season. So this guy can be a dangerous weapon, and he just has provided the Argonauts with a first down.
Yeah, and he wasn't just a teammate of Pickett's in NFL Europe. He was the go-to guy. I talked to Pickett about him, and he said he knows his body language very well.
Pickett swings it out. Here's Robertson. Malik Jackson in pursuit. And Malik Jackson with a great play. A guy who had been playing defensive end has moved back tonight, as you mentioned. And good range for Malik Jackson.
They're going to get him involved in this defense in the front seven in a lot of different areas. And he plays in linebacking core again here. It's his job to go ahead and cover Jamal Robertson out of the backfield. He's a little behind the get-go, and then he makes up for that with tremendous speed to track him down.
He had a couple of sacks against the Argos as a rush end in the first meeting. Limits that gain to 4. 2nd and 6. Pickett throwing it downfield. Bradwell stretched out. Can't bring it in.
Both Mike Bradwell and Tyler Scott have made a few plays, enough that they've impressed Bart Andrus, the head coach, and he said that he likes their potential. Sooner or later, though, they've got to start making those plays for first downs because they've been very inconsistent. They've made enough plays to impress the head coach. But sooner or later, those are the ones that you have to have.
But the absence of Andre Talbot has been felt in the first half of the season for the Argos. Talbot hurt in the first meeting against the Stamps. High kick, not deep. And Ryan from his 35 across the 40, and Steve Smith will bounce him out. Late flag there over at that Argos sideline. And let's see if an illegal block is upcoming against Calgary. Claude Harriet telling us it is going against the Stamps.
Holding. Calgary, number 56, on the return. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's the long snapper, Randy Chevrier.
Henry Burris just 70 yards passing in this game. 479 last week, but with the 479, Burris became the all-time leading passer in Calgary Stampeder history, passing none other than Doug Flutie. Now, if he wants to get back on pace, he needs 400 yards in the second half.
Well, he's got just under a minute here to work with, and there's Brett Brown taking the out, bounced out by Jason Shivers. What I think was most impressive about Henry Burris passing Doug Flutie is that he did it in the exact same number of starts in Calgary, 64. Now, mind you, it was his 99th Calgary game, but many of those on the bench behind Doug Flutie and Jeff Garcia.
Yeah, fewer attempts
for Dave Dickinson,
and fewer completion for Henry Burris when he passed Doug Flutie.
Second down, Burris steps up and now unloads, and Ryan Thelwell drilled by Lynn J. Shell. The ball falls incomplete. So this Argo defense has had the answer right through this opening half.
Burris unloaded the ball, and Lynn J. Shell unloaded on Ryan Thelwell. Looked like Burris had to take a little jump ball kind of throw here. He kind of on the run, puts a little air under it, and as Thelwell tries to gather it in, here comes number 21. That's playing the zone defense. Everything is in front of you. You can react to the football in the air and come up and make those big hits. Seen one from Jordan Younger earlier, then that was Lynn J. Shell.
You know, the Argos have allowed only 19 yards a game more than #1 ranked Montreal, and yet they've been on the field on average 2.5 minutes more per game. That's how good this defense has been this year. One hopper, Parker, and he is brought down. John Cornish with a great downfield tackle. Well, it's great defense, or well, maybe not great offense.
Well, I'm going to chalk it up to some pretty good defensive play. Both play very different styles, but you can see how these offenses have struggled tonight. Toronto's has struggled throughout the season. Calgary, not so much, and you got to give credit to the Argo defense. They play that zone style where they allow the offense to throw it underneath in front of them and come up and make some big hits.
So 26 seconds left, and they operate out of the gun. And Pickett again, Robertson out of the backfield, and again, not much there as John Eubanks again steps up, and he's been active in his Stampeder debut.
Number one priority for Chris Jones, the defensive coordinator, over the bye week was to improve the run defense. It looked like he is on the way to doing that with Tim Johnson in the middle, Devon Claybrooks, and of course a very active Malik Jackson tonight playing linebacker. And in that first half, have just given up 13 yards along the ground. So mission accomplished with that regard. Now, he's surprised if in the second half, Cody Pickett doesn't now try and test them deep a little bit. He's throwing the ball underneath, dropping it a bunch to Jamal Robertson. And sooner or later, offensively, you've got to stretch the field and try and get some more room.
Just going to ask you that. The longest pass play by the Argos in the first half, 15 yards. 20 seconds left, second and long. Is it time to take a shot? Pickett sets up, dumps it off. Robertson surrounded and brought down short of the first down. 8 catches for Jamal Robertson in this first half, 4 carries, and not much doing for Toronto offensively.
And good gang tackling by the Calgary Stampeders with Jamal Robertson out in open space. And 3 Stampeders corral him, make sure he's held short of the first down. But you're right, Chris. Sooner or later, Bart Andrus and this offense has got to take some shots. Even if they're not complete down the field, they've got to give the threat to the Calgary defense that they are going to go deep. They're willing to throw it up. When Cody Pickett against the Lions did that, he went to Chad Lucas.
Lucas with just 1 catch. DK Sam 1 catch. Mac Robertson 8 catches. The rest of the Argonaut squad with 7 here in the first half. And is tracked by Jeff Juradat. Big rush. Medlock gets it away and tries to sell contact. Titus Ryan on the return to Jason Shivers. Oh, big hit there. Devontae Edwards on the final play of the first half makes some noise with that stick. Defense, the story of the first half in Toronto.
Football fans that love defense. Love, right, Matty?
Hey, I love it. I love it.
And if you're one
trying to sell it,
I'm just saying, if you're one of those football fans, then this game is for you. 3-3 at the half. It is Toronto and Calgary, and the Toronto Argonauts come in as the lowest scoring team in the league against the highest scoring team, the Calgary Stampeders. Tough to tell who's who right now. Schultz, there was a lot of talk about Calgary. The champs need to get back on track and their defense being challenged. Was their defense ready to play tonight?
I think they were really ready to play tonight, and I'll go to the video that I'm going to show you because it's the opening possession for the Argonauts on offense, opening possession for the Calgary Stampeders on defense. We talk about it all the time. The #1 responsibility for every football player is to be ready to play football like that. Brandon Browner, that's a heck of a hit. Reggie McNeil here, look at the contain. They cut upfield. Look at all the bodies around him. And here's another example of everybody reacting effectively to the football. There's the ball in the air. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was almost an interception. Both defenses are playing outstanding football. But between the two, I think this first half has been a victory for the Toronto Argonauts because they have had the long field. Calgary's had the short field. It's still a tie.
Yeah, Schultz, I'm going to rephrase what I said. I don't love it. I appreciate what I'm looking at from the defense tonight. But I'm going to show you a little bit of both here. You can watch the Calgary Stampeders run a little bunch formation, run a toss sweep into the boundary. Right here, you've got 1, 2, 3. You're going to have Big Pelon pull out here with the big boy Johnson and the toss sweep here. Now they've got Toronto outflanked to the boundary because of just formation alone, and Toronto can't get over there. They get a body on a body. Joffrey finds a little seam, picks up a quick 6 yards. Now we watch Toronto. Hey, they've got 7 people right here, folks. They got 7 people. What they're trying to do is flatten out the Calgary defense. When you do that, you want to run up the middle. But what does Calgary do? Or what Toronto do? They try to run a toss sweep to the boundary. The defense simply just outspeeds the Toronto offensive line, gets the play, and shuts it down. Little strategy going on here. Calgary's got the upper hand formation-wise right now with the toss sweep in the boundary. Toronto does not.
So while we're all commenting on the entertainment value of a game like this, let me just say I don't mind a defensive struggle. I don't mind a 3-3 ball game, but I don't like offenses that are playing it safe. And when you're 2-5, maybe you have to have your running back as your leading receiver with 8 catches. Maybe you can't ask your quarterback to ever throw the ball more than 10 yards down the field. He has 1 completion over 10 yards, but it was just a little dump pass where Robertson ran it for 15 yards. And you know, I don't like this type of an offense because this is what happens. Invariably, if you keep trying to go underneath, you have to be perfect in order to put a drive together. Eventually, someone's going to drop a football, a defense is going to make a play, and you're not going to score points. And I just would rather see them go down trying.
So you're not having a good time.
I am having a terrible time.
That's Toronto's game plan, though.
Yeah, well,
and when you're 2-5, maybe you have to do it. I
throw
understand that.
bit.
Win ugly, win any way you can, but doesn't mean you have to have a good time watching it.
Calgary 2-8 in their last 10 trips to Toronto. They just can't get it together. We'll see what happens second half. Football game brought to you by Tim Hortons, always fresh. Who's got the stats?
I got him, Dave.
All right.
Hey, check this out. You know, we're talking about defensive game. Well, yes, it is. That's why you've got 145 yards net offense for Calgary, 116 for Toronto. But for a Toronto team that's looking for balance, 22 passes to 4 runs. Calgary, they've got great balance in their attack right now. Jock, we were watching this game in the first half, and you said it reminded you of what?
An NFL game.
An NFL game, and those stats prove that.
Well, here's the guy who used to coach in the NFL, Bart Andrus, who spoke with our Catherine Dolan.
Coach, 3-3 going into the half. You must be happy with how your defense has played so far.
We're playing real good on defense. I think Calgary's playing real good on defense. This is one of those games where we're just toe-to-toe slugging it out. It's a physical game up front, and I mean, we got to find a way to get the ball moved down and get in the end zone.
Cody Pickett, second start of the season this season. How would you assess his performance so far?
Well, he's pretty consistent right now. I mean, he's completing some. He's throwing some incompletions, but, you know, he's not throwing any to them, and that's something that's very important at this point. And I think that he's doing a good job right now.
Great. Thank you very much, Coach.
All tied at 3 is Bart Andrus.
TSN is the exclusive broadcaster of the Canadian Football League and proud home of the Grey Cup. We're tied at 3, headed to quarter number 3 at Rogers Centre. But first, Catherine Dolan standing by with Stamps head coach John Hufnagel.
Coach, Calgary has only given up 3 points in terms of their defense. You must be happy with the improvements on their run defense.
Our defense is playing very well. They're getting themselves off the field, doing a good job against the run. Offensively, we've got to get some drives going here and put some points on the board.
Well, certainly, I mean, on the flip side, exactly, only 3 points for Calgary on the board. This is certainly not typical of Calgary's offense.
Well, we knew coming in Toronto has an excellent defense, and they have been a very good first-half team. Hopefully, we can wear them down and keep the drive, sustain the drive, get some points.
Great. Thank you, Coach.
Suits, I found one positive. Just 1 2-and-out for each team in a lack of offense first half.
Well, you're an offensive guy. I mean, I saw a lot of positives on the defensive side of the football. I think both these defenses are playing well. John Hufnagel mentioned it. Bart Andrus talked about it at halftime. The defenses won the first half. Now, what are the adjustments that both these head coaches make? I think for Bart Andrus, might be push the ball down the field a little bit. And for Henry Burris, it may be the opposite. Be patient, start throwing it underneath that zone, and see if John Hufnagel's receivers can't get those yak yards after the catch.
The longest drive of the first half for the Stampeders, 5 plays. The Argos stretched that one out for 6 plays in a very quiet opening half. DeAngelis to kick it off, and Andre Dury, who had one good return in the first half, has the football and takes off. Another good return up across the 45 for Andre Dury, and Sandro DeAngelis, the man who makes the tackle.
The Toronto Argonauts likely will not get Dominic Dorsey back from the National Football League, so Andre Dury may be the guy that they can put back there, at least on the kickoff returns. That's his second good kickoff return in this game. Not sure if he's able to catch punts well, but certainly can return kickoffs.
Good point, too, that The National Football League looks like they poached a couple of great return men from the CFL, and Stefan Logan in Pittsburgh and Dominic Dorsey in Washington. There's a stretch pass for PK Sam, and it's just out of his reach. Check the first half quarterback numbers.
Defense, and a bunch more defense. When you look at that, if you double it, it's 150 yards for Burris in an entire game, which is way below his average. Cody Pickett at 111. And the first play in this second half, Cody Pickett comes out and tries the corner route. Nice deep 30-yard throw. They didn't get it, but they have now tried to stretch the ball deep at least once.
So 2nd and 10 at the 43, and here comes the rush off the edge. Shannon James knocked the ball loose. Pickett trying to get back on it, and it's Calgary football. Shannon James off the edge, the top defensive player for the Stamps a year ago, and Odell Willis comes up with a pigskin.
They load up the line of scrimmage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it's the 7th that's going to get Cody Pickett in trouble. He comes off the edge completely clean, and Pickett doesn't see him coming. Shannon James hits him right in the back. That's a forced fumble. And is it Tim Johnson that recovers?
Get a better look here. I thought it was Odell Willis, but it looked like somebody else got underneath and on the football first. For Calgary, they take the ball at the Argo 34. Burris deep drop, throwing the out. Copeland well covered. Jason Shivers in his hip pocket, and a roughing the passer call against the Argos after the incompletion.
Is it Kevin Huntley that stepped through? He was...
Major foul.
You got to be careful. They might get another one.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Toronto, number 94. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So a costly 15 yards marched against Toronto.
The question in plays like this is whether or not the defensive player is able to change his direction, slow his momentum. He sees the ball thrown. It was a real close one.
First down Stamps at the 19. A lot of time. Burris holds on. And now in some trouble. Eludes Huntley and throws high, intended for Reynolds. Well, he extended the play, but couldn't hook up with Joffrey Reynolds.
That's what I mean about the opposite is true for the adjustments that George Cortez and Henry Burris, I think, have to make in this game, because they're going to have to start being patient and throwing it underneath to guys like Joffrey Reynolds or short crossing routes, and see if their receivers or running backs can't make people miss in the open field rather than try and hold the ball and look deep. Those deep zones have been covered for Burris.
Over 70% touchdowns in the red zone for Calgary. Number 1 in the CFL, but facing 2nd and 10, staring down 0 for 2. Burris picked off. Zeke Moreno has the interception, and the Argos get it back on a takeaway of their own. Second straight week that Moreno has an interception. Markers late on the play.
Zeke Moreno is just off your screen to the left unless you have high definition. Then you see him. There he is right there to the left of your screen. He gets good depth in this drop. About 15 yards deep, steps right in the throwing lane. The interception for Moreno. Continues to play good football over the last 3.5 games now.
So 1 turnover apiece.
San Diego for me.
Roughing call against Kevin Ivan.
Hey, Lorenzo,
tail
Daddy
end of
loves
that
you.
play.
Happy birthday, Ma. For you.
Happy birthday for Mamu. Played a little football in her day.
Just take a look at his last couple of games. For his 14 tackles, it's his 2nd interception in the last 2, and he's also added a sack.
But here again, the Argos starting inside their 15. They don't mind this time getting their hands on the football. And there's Malik Jackson waiting in the hole again, and another late flag is tossed well after the play had ended.
Major foul, piling on. Calgary, number 95. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Another newcomer, Devon Claybrooks. That's a big 15 yards to get Toronto some breathing room.
You mentioned it at the beginning, Chris, that these two teams, the most penalized teams in the Canadian Football League. And I'm not sure about that call at all. Like there's been a few questionable ones here tonight.
It's like he just lost his footing as he was in the neighborhood. It's 15 yards, and Cody Pickett has some room to work with. The fade to Lucas, who can't bring it down. Working against Dwight Anderson on the corner.
Is he having himself a great season? I mean, he's had some issues with penalties himself. He seems to have been able to get past those over the last couple of games. He jumps up late in bump coverage, gets right up there on Chad Lucas, stays in that trail position, waits for his eyes and arms to indicate that the ball's on its way. Then he turns back and plays it absolutely perfectly. Also had a touchdown on an interception in the first time these two teams met.
And Dwight Anderson moving to the short side corner position. 2nd and 10. Pickett guns over the middle. PK Sam, and he'll be short of the first down. We saw Brandon Browner go down in the opening half. Keon Raymond has taken one corner spot, and Anderson now on the other corner. And the defense hasn't missed a beat for Calgary.
No, but I do like to see that Cody Pickett is trying to push the ball deep. They've tried a couple corners. They tried that deep ball to Chad Lucas. Hey, it was good coverage. Keon Raymond, good coverage on that wide side corner. Brandon Browner out. Now, we also saw Dwight Anderson with tremendous coverage, but they've tried.
They call Raymond Mr. Versatile. He can play almost any spot in the defensive backfield. Medlock boots it away. This is a good one. Number 29, Titus Ryan, trying to get to the edge and does turn the corner and then ran out of real estate. 13 on the return after a 49-yard punt. Under 6 months now to the Winter Olympics in Vancouver. Heather Moyes of the women's bobsleigh team has joined us. Nice to have you here.
It's nice to be here.
Heather, I want to know about the training and the preparation that's going on right now to get yourself ready for Vancouver.
Right now it's pretty intense, doing a lot of dry land training. Obviously there's no ice on the track right now, so all of the athletes are hitting the gym pretty hard, and also on the track doing a lot of sprint training.
And a critical time for you is October.
October is pretty critical. It's going to be critical for a lot of athletes.
Now that's qualifying, so give us a handicap on what you're thinking going into that.
Well, that's qualifying for our World Cup circuit. It's not necessarily qualifying for the Olympics. For us, we won't actually know who's going to the Olympics for sure until January.
I also understand you have some experience as a rugby player. Explain that.
Well, I'm a member of the senior national women's rugby team.
And now you're saying that in 2016, I heard that there's a possibility of rugby being an Olympic sport.
Yeah, we've basically just found out that they've passed kind of the first round of both. So both rugby and golf are hopefuls for 2016.
What position did you play in rugby? I'm sorry, I'm having trouble getting my head around this.
Most people usually guess second row, but I was actually a fullback mostly.
Is that right?
A little bit of winger, yeah, so back three.
You got some good toughness there then, too. Does that help you in bobsleigh, though?
I think it does. Getting beaten up inside that sled sometimes, it's a little rugged, just like it would be on the rugby pitch, so it's good.
Speaking of rugged, the Argo defense stands tall. Reynolds prevented from gaining a first down, so you could be a two-season athlete.
Well, if I'm still playing in 2016.
For the Olympics.
Yeah. Yeah, technically now I am a two-season athlete, but a two-season Olympic athlete.
Olympian.
If I'm still playing in 2016, then we could say yeah.
I know there's a long way to go, Heather, but how much more important or more special is it and that it's in Canada, in Vancouver?
I think all the Canadian athletes are really psyched that it's here at home. It makes a big difference knowing that you're going to be performing in front of your family and your friends and, you know, the people and sponsors, people who've supported, you know, you throughout the whole journey. So it's really exciting, and the vibe here is amazing.
Wonderful to meet you. Good luck. We'll be watching to see how you do in Vancouver.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Heather.
Heather Moyes. Nice of her to drop by. 3rd and short, and Dales boots it away, and another beauty. And Parker backed up inside his 5, but a great return, and then off a tackle. And still going up to the 34. Well, that's the kind of spark they hope to get from Byron Parker. 28 on the return after a 52-yard kick.
Yeah, a lot of second effort here from Byron Parker as he just cuts up in there. You see his good change of direction and speed, his vision in the open field. He has 6 touchdowns off interceptions in his CFL career. He knows how to run the football. He's got to secure it. Doesn't have a lot of experience in punt returning. Only 2 in his CFL career coming into tonight. But there's a big play.
Bounced off Malik Jackson and Wayne Carpenter for that return. And now Pickett throwing the sideline pass, and that's complete. There's Dwight Anderson. And Chad Lucas with the catch. So now it's Lucas up against Anderson. Well, in 6 months, the Vancouver 2010 Olympic Winter Games comes to TSN. Gear up for the games with Olympic alerts and weekly Road to Vancouver athlete profiles on SportsCenter. And we'll be cheering for Heather Moyes.
Absolutely. It's great to meet him and have him come on the show with us. We're watching some football. And Heather, of course, with that rugby experience, is pretty cool.
Apparently, the Friday Night Football guys are bobsleigh fans.
Me too, all of a sudden.
There's Robertson right side, and Jackson there again. Malik Jackson has been all around the football.
Well, the main focus for Calgary has been their run defense through the bye week, and they have improved that a ton. I mean, they stepped into this game tonight. This is no slouch in Jamal Robertson. This is a team that has been able to run the ball with Robertson and had success. Chris Jones has fixed the problem, at least so far. One of the concerns was that they lost Mike Lobinjo to injury in the middle, so they were a little bit light in the interior of that defensive line. They fixed that problem. Tim Johnson's played well, and Malik Jackson.
Cody Pickett. I don't know if he got the timeout called. He did in time. Kim Murphy letting the official know as flag was thrown for a time count violation, but Pickett did.
No infraction on the play. Timeout, Toronto.
Did call the timeout because he didn't like the defensive set he was looking at. Well, Dave Randorf mentioned it in the pregame show that this Calgary defense had gone from 89.7 yards a game rushing against last year to worst in the league at 144.1. That's what they've done tonight.
Look at that. What a difference. That's what a bye week can do in self-scouting.
Should correct myself. Calgary's second last after BC's performance or lack of last week against the brilliant Fred Reed.
There's Tim Johnson. He is a pure run stopper, physical player. He's got experience, 31 years, played a lot of football, 31 years old, and he weighs 245 in that middle.
So 2nd and 7, a 3-man rush, and a quick hitter, Robertson, and a huge hit. There's Dwight Anderson again, and he continues to celebrate. A little race walk after the jolt on Jamal Robertson.
And Jamal Robertson out of the backfield gets up immediately. How he did, I do not know. That's a big one.
That had Anderson prancing, and why not? Corners dream about that kind of opportunity. Halfway through the third quarter. And the defensive stalemate continues. Medlock's punt fielded by Ryan, and nothing doing. Andre Durian, a fumble, and a scramble for the football. Who's got it? Argos have it. Second Calgary turnover of the night. Toronto football when we come back.
Thing was the Argos' Jason Pottinger, acquired by trade in the offseason, and he is the guy, I believe, that pulls it out of there and gets the ball loose out of the arms of Titus Ryan right there. Recovered by the Toronto Argonauts, so a couple plays on the special teams gives them life.
You know, they're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Oshawa Hawkeyes Junior Football Club here tonight. There's a proud graduate with a big play when the Argos needed one. First down at the 15, first trip to the red zone. Robertson off the right side, close to 5, down to the 10.
Bart Andrews continues with the run. He wants to try and get Even though the Calgary Stampeder defense has played well against it, he wants to stay stubborn with the run, try and create some second and medium, second and short situations for Cody Pickett.
Just the 5th trip to the red zone in the last 4 games. And 0 for 4. This scenario where Bart Andrus' team has to improve. 2nd down, lots of time, looking to the corner. Touchdown! PK Sam! In tight coverage, but Sam is back in the Argo lineup and into the end zone.
Absolutely right, Chris. It was tight coverage by Ronnie Amati. But this is the confidence, and this is that chemistry I talked about early on between Cody Pickett and PK Sam from their NFL Europe days. He trusted PK Sam over there in the corner, right inside that goal line, threw it over there, and allowed his receiver to make a play for him.
More touchdown in 7 CFL games for PK Sam. Medlock the extra point. And the Argos have the lead after the fumble recovery.
PK Sam wanted to run what's called an out and up and then have the throw behind, throw it right to his back heel. But it was well covered. Watch him here. He's right there in your screen now. He's going to do this and then want to do that, and then he puts the brakes on right in this corner. Well covered by Ronnie Amati, but this is the trust between Cody Pickett and Sam makes the play.
So the Argos now have 30 points off turnovers this season. That's 7th in the league. Stampeders leading in that department, 98. And here's Ryan, the man who fumbled, trying to atone for that, and he brings it up close to the 40. And now a little more urgency for that sputtering Calgary offense.
More urgency, but I'm not sure that they're going to be able to take and pick up yardage in chunks here, just because of the style of defense that Toronto is giving them right now, and that's a lot of zone and taking away those deep routes. Sure. Numbers you just don't often see with Henry Burris.
First meeting of the year between these two teams. Calgary outscored Toronto 31-0 in the second half. Here's the opportunity. There's another big play by a corner as Jordan Younger unloads on Brett Ralph.
Defense that wants to give you 3 or 4 yards and a headache, and that's what they do here as Younger steps into Ralph. And the Calgary Stampeders are going to have to resign themselves to the fact that they're going to have to take those hits, pick up the 5, the 6, the 7-yard gains.
Now the Stamps go to hurry up, trying to change the tempo here. 2nd down, and there's a completion. A little look into the London native. Ryan Thelwell, a first down to the Argo 49.
There are seams and openings in his own defense like this, and it's a matter of whether or not you can be patient with it. In the first half, Henry Burris was not patient. He was trying to look for the big play. It wasn't there. Now back-to-back throws that are underneath 10 yards, one to Thelwell and one to Brent Ralph.
First catch of the night for Thelwell. It goes for 17 yards. Fake to Reynolds. There's another look in, and Nick Lewis will drive down to the 30. Back-to-back first down plays for Burris. This 19 to Nick Lewis.
And he gives Nick Lewis the football early enough that Lewis can turn his shoulders square to the line and then pick up some yards after the catch. And when the receiver, Nick Lewis's stature and his abilities comes across the middle, if he can turn his shoulders, then he doesn't mind taking a hit. In fact, he often becomes the hammer.
3 receivers in motion in the backfield, and now Reynolds, who's set up as a receiver, back in behind Burris to take the handoff. Tries the right side, and not much there as it was shut down by Claude Harriott.
Claude Harriott held his ground, and he got some help from Kevin Ivan flowing to the football as well.
Devontae Edwards now checks in as an extra deep back as Kevin Huntley heads off. Don't believe we've seen Byron Parker on defense yet in this game.
Nope.
Passing situation. And 2nd and 9. Reynolds cuts it back and gets the first down. Little second effort by Joffrey Reynolds.
Well, it really was the second effort, and it was a play called at a perfect time. There's Moreno and there's Kevin Ivan. Two linebackers are often the guys that are going to have to make the tackle on a screen play, but you see they overload the left side of the line of scrimmage, and the screen pass comes out to the defensive right side. So that gets them in a chase, and a little second effort by Joffrey Reynolds gets him the first down.
Ran through the tackle of Jason Shivers. There's an injured Argo, Etienne Legaré, the number 2 pick in the 2009 draft, who takes the spot of Adriano Belli, out with a knee infection. The Argos weren't sure right up until game time whether or not Belli could go. They were not confident, but Adriano's one of the few that can play under extreme duress, but not tonight. Legaré, one of the young draft choices the Argos are really excited about.
First round pick out of Laval.
Top defensive lineman in CIS action in 2008. A guy who didn't start playing till he was 20. He was a basketball player.
You don't want to get down in the paint with Etienne Legaré.
So the clock running.
Think he could rebound?
I don't know about his vertical, but he got a lot of room.
He'd block you out.
As a playmaker Reynolds and Jermaine Copeland, touchdown! Breaks the plane and gets in, and the Stampeders answer the Argo touchdown score.
They answer it by being patient enough early on in the drive to continue to pull the defensive linebackers and the secondary guys. Remember when I showed you that 3 deep zone and how the underneath guys, they get drawn up by the patience early on in this drive. You can see that Copeland does cross the plane of the goal line with the football. His 7th.
Yes, 7 touchdowns on the season. We haven't reached the halfway point. He had 7 all of last year. Had a big season, and DeAngelis ties the score. So suddenly some offense here, third quarter. Well, just like that, 6 plays, 71 yards, 3:43 off the clock, and Copeland into the end zone.
Lin-J Shell and Zeke Moreno are the 2 underneath players. One is right here and one is right there. And look how tight to the line of scrimmage they are. That's because in the previous few plays of this drive, they went to Joffrey Reynolds. They went to the underneath throws. This time, those guys dropping in Zeke Moreno and Lin-J Shell in the intermediate zones underneath. They get too tight to the line of scrimmage. Burris throws it in behind them to Copeland.
Another milestone for Henry Burris. And soon he'll own all the passing records in Calgary. Andre Dury has another crease out near the 40. Had a good night, 23 on that return.
Well, now he's got the completions.
12th touchdown pass of this season. And again, his favorite target, as he's been throughout his career, Jermaine Copeland. That guy was pretty good in his 4 years in Calgary. And yet Henry Burris is rewriting Stamp's record book.
And you wonder if some of the offensive adjustments now we're going to see a very different game as this third quarter comes to an end. 2 offensive touchdowns, 1 off a turnover, and then Burris with the answer.
Cody Pickett backdoor, looking deep for PK Sam. He's got it. Airtight coverage, and he still beats Ronnie Amati. Back-to-back PK Sam catches for the Argos.
Well, there's definitely a level of trust between Cody Pickett and Sam. We've seen that now in back-to-back plays. 1 for a touchdown and 1 here deep. And how about the athletic ability of PK Sam to control his body and be able to turn back, the ball thrown to his outside shoulder. This is great body control by Sam and a one-hand catch. I don't think that other hand ever gets there until the end of it.
33 yards, that's the biggest play of the game for Toronto. For either team. And a first down inside the Argo 40. Wide open, Jamal Robertson, first down. And Dwight Anderson will drag him down. That's the 10th catch of the night for Jamal Robertson.
And you got to love that Jamal Robertson does not go out of bounds at the end of this. Usually a running back coming out of the backfield, and he's right there as he comes out. Usually they're going to cut back against the flow into the middle. He does. The first one, he stays to the sideline, and then he'll rather take the hit to get an extra yard from Dwight Anderson than step out of bounds. Running backs don't often do that.
So 10 catches, 6 carries on the night as his role has changed. First down, Pickett, look out, got it away. PK Sam, and he can't reach it. Looked like he had a step on Amadi again, and the ball just out of reach.
Yeah, but you know what? PK Sam right at the end there, you saw him pointing to himself, and he was basically telling his quarterback that's his fault that he didn't run the route correctly. That was a corner route that basically was supposed to develop into the seam where Cody Pickett throws it to a spot in the corner of the end zone. And you can see right here, there's PK Sam. There's where he starts. Hits the line of scrimmage. Now he flattens it out when he makes his break. Pressure coming off the edge again from Shannon James. And Pickett will take a hit.
Pretty good pocket presence, no?
Absolutely.
And 2nd and 10, pulls it down, dumps it off. There's another catch, and one more, and then gets cut down. That's a big defensive play by Keon Raymond into the game as the replacement on the corner for Brandon Browder when it looked like Robertson had first down yardage. He is going to be stopped about a yard short on the final play of this third quarter. We think got a decision for Bart Andrus, and I don't think he's going to wait long. And now we are told that it is the end of the quarter as we await the Medlock field goal as the Argos try to take the lead. Third quarter stats are brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always.
It's been an interesting game. That first half was all defense. First half of the third quarter, we saw some more defense, and all of a sudden, the offenses are starting to click in. The Argonauts throwing the ball deeper. PK Sam has a long one and a catch. They've been incomplete on a couple, but at least, Chris, in that third quarter, they tried to push the ball.
The previous 3 meetings between these two teams, Calgary outscored Toronto 67-4 in the second half. Fortunately, we're in for a different second half tonight.
Well, that's right. I mean, the Toronto Argonauts 0-3 at home this season have a chance here. You know, they've had a chance in 2 of those 3 games to come up with a win. They lost with a bad fourth quarter against the BC Lions, and they lost a 1-point game to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at home. They're back in position to try and get that first home win.
Interesting choice here. It's 3rd and less than a yard, and Medlock on to kick a field goal. He gets it. Argos take the lead at 13-10. And a reminder that Wendy's Kick for $1 Million is back. You have a chance to be one of 4 to go head-to-head to qualify for the live halftime show. Enter at tsn.ca/Wendy's, plus upsize your Wendy's combo and get a game card to get bonus entries.
All of a sudden now, when I drive by fields, I see people out there kicking. Suit and ties, doesn't matter.
Thought you were going to tell me all of a sudden you're upsizing.
I upsize every time anyway. Yeah, it was an interesting decision, you know, Chris, and I know where you're going with it, in that, you know, a team that's struggling, wants to play aggressively, maybe go ahead and try and get that first down and see if you can get a major. But I think a couple of things here for Bart Andrus. One is it's such a close game. The other is his defense has played real well. Other than one drive, I think he's got to be pretty confident that his defense can go get a stop. So in a close game with a strong defense, maybe justifies the decision on 3rd and less than a yard to go ahead and kick the field goal, get the 3 points.
And Dwight Anderson with a huge play on the corner when it looked like Robertson, but from our vantage point, was going to be down around the 5-yard line. Robertson stopped a yard short of the first down, and instead of a possible 7, it's a 3-point Toronto lead. Big game for both these teams. Calgary trying to get back to 500, 4-4. The Argos attempting to tie Winnipeg at 3-5 should they win tonight. Titus Ryan with the return. And he'll fall forward across the 40-yard line. Well, we have a new viewer on Friday Night Football, and we are thrilled about it. Congratulations to Sarah Orleski, husband Aaron, and there is Avery Elizabeth. 8 pounds, 11 ounces.
Well, based on that, and I was emailing back and forth with Sarah, who works the sideline for us on Friday Night Football, and back and forth, she said it was about a 5-hour labor. So based on that and the delivery, Sarah is our front runner for Gladiator at this point in the game.
She may have a watch before the end of the night. Here's Burris looking to the flat, and Ryan Thelwell there in front of Willie Middlebrooks. Another first down catch. Ryan Thelwell, 80% of his receptions around that, either first downs or touchdowns.
You know, the other thing that's interesting about Thelwell is that those first downs and touchdowns have given him the best average on the team at 17.9 yards per catch coming in. So he's got the ability to go deep. He's shown that before. That's why he started this game. He's playing now outside.
Fake to Reynolds. There's Lewis inside. Had a step on Jason Shivers, who makes the tackle, but Lewis close to another Calgary first down.
That last drive by the Stampeders have forced the Argos now to play a little more man-to-man. That was Jason Shivers playing one-on-one on Nick Lewis. And if Burris wanted to go deep in this game, now's the time. If you see the Argos starting to play more of that trail man-to-man type coverage, but he's had to be patient. His only successful drive against the zone was when he was throwing it underneath.
7 straight completions for Henry Burris. It's like he's starting to unlock the secret to the Argo defense. Reynolds straight ahead and dropped at the 40. Tackle on the play from Ronald Clemens.
That time Henry Burris audible on the line of scrimmage, and he got out there, he broke the huddle. Then you see, look at him try and wind everybody back in. He's trying to bring Joffrey Reynolds, calls the play on the line, says, you know what, I see this defense a little different. Let's go ahead and run the ball on first down. That was a call made by the quarterback on the line of scrimmage.
So 5 for Reynolds, 2nd and 5. There's Thelwell, and another first down as Thelwell moves the chains in front of Willie Middlebrooks. Hey.
Ryan Thelwell, think back to his days in BC and what he's done for the Calgary Stampeders. Maybe one of the most underrated Canadian receivers in recent history in the CFL.
I think you're right.
You know, he's been a consistent performer. You talked about his first down catches and touchdown catches. He's got that high average. Very reliable.
36 years of age. Reynolds straight ahead again. And dropped by Kevin Ivan.
You describe a guy's play as reliable. It's not exactly all that exciting. But you ask any coaches, and we've done many interviews with head coaches, the word that they always use is consistency. We want players that are consistent, and Ryan Thelwell's been consistent.
He talked openly about retiring at the end of last year, a Grey Cup victory, and then the coach called him 2 days later and said, we want you back. And boy, has he been valuable, especially without Kenyon Rambo. Burris takes off, and Zeke Moreno put his head down, and that ball popped loose. Argos indicating they may have come up with it. And let's see when they unpile. We do know Burris was popped, and it will be 3rd down.
Burris had to fight for that football. What a hit by Zeke Moreno. He has turned it up a notch. Give credit to Burris for not trying to hook slide. You see the middle linebacker, let alone one of those DBs on the outside, but you see the middle linebacker, quarterbacks will go down 90% of the time. Not that time for Burris, but he pays the price for it.
So now the offenses look like they're going to trade points as DeAngelis tries to get the 3 back from 35 up. And DeAngelis is good. Game tied. Early 4th quarter. But for every sack in tonight's game, Purelator donates the quarterback's weight and food to a local food bank. Purelator, where business is going.
23 sacks is the total for the leaders in Saskatchewan and Montreal. Toronto climbing up that list. 19 coming in. I think they have a sack tonight.
Here's Andre Dury. Good return. He is stopped up by Tim Johnson, also on special teams for Stamps tonight. A reminder that the big game is in Calgary at McMahon, and there aren't many tickets left.
No, we're right down to it. I don't know the exact number, but it's down to the last bit. If you want to go to the Grey Cup in Calgary in 2009, you better pick up the phone right now.
Speaking of that, for the folks in Calgary and Edmonton, not many left for Labor Day either. And we're looking forward to Labor Day weekend. We're really into the meat of the season. Argos with that crosser to Lucas and wrestled down. Dwight Anderson step for step. Again, Lucas against Browner in the first half. Browner out with an injury, and now Dwight Anderson on the hot seat defensively.
You know, with Chad Lucas and PK Sam both going to play on the same side of the formation primarily in this offense, then this could be a combination that the Argos could really lean on as this season continues. Every team in the league is still in the fight. The Argos going into their Labor Day matchup with Hamilton back-to-back. That's going to be very important coming up. And they're trying to find a combination that works in the receiving corps. Chad Lucas and PK Sam together could be that combination.
Injured Stampeder Tom Johnson gives us a chance to look ahead, because you think about how critical the back-to-backs coming up are for so many teams. Calgary and Edmonton will be dueling in the Battle of Alberta. The traditional Winnipeg-Saskatchewan gets spiced up with that Fred Reed performance that we witnessed last week. At Hamilton, Toronto, Argos can get right back in it, or Hamilton can cause some separation.
Yeah, to separate. And you think about the game between Calgary and Edmonton before the bye, and that shootout between Henry Burris and Ricky Ray. Now we go into Labor Day and then back-to-back, of course, the rematch in Commonwealth. Yeah, very important stretch. It is every year, but this year seems more important because it is still such a tight race.
Heat on the Lions with back-to-back against Montreal. Pickett, and he slings that one out of bounds at the Calgary bench. It looks like he wanted to waste one.
Well, he threw it out of bounds because he wanted PK Sam to head straight to the sideline, and Sam kind of put the brakes on.
And so third down and a couple, and the Argos, who didn't gamble 3rd and 1 deep in Calgary territory, are not going to take any chances 3rd and 2 at their own 46.
Bart Andrus was a little frustrated with that one, in that he took a gamble to throw on 2nd down and just over a yard, rather than try and run the ball and try and pick it up that way, because he thought he might surprise the Calgary defense. But a communication error between Sam and Pickett, they have to punch.
Ryan backpedals to his 17. Flag is he's dropped at the 28-yard line. We have 9:17 to go. So just over 9 minutes to go. An illegal block pushes Calgary back inside their 15, but a gaping hole. Joffrey Reynolds crashing out across the 30, taken down by the safety Will Poole. But that's better field position, 17 yards for Joffrey Reynolds.
You got to believe that Nick Lewis in motion coming across the formation right here has got to influence the defense, because the hole opens up in a big way for Joffrey Reynolds. I mean, look at that alley for him. No one to be seen until Reynolds gets to the safety.
This Argo team gave up 21 fourth-quarter points last week, and another gash from Reynolds, and close to another 1st down up at the 41.
Well, that's just it. We mentioned that earlier, Chris, that this Argo defense played real well for 3 quarters against the Lions and then ran out of gas, and you start to wonder if Joffrey Reynolds is starting to take advantage of a little fatigue factor for the Argonauts on defense.
24 points in the last 4 possessions for the Lions a couple of weeks ago. So this Argo defense will try and dig in, and Henry Burris suddenly has momentum on his side. Burris wandering, and now Teo Johnson Jackson the catch, and did Nick Lewis deliver one?
I'm telling you, Chris, this is one of the biggest hits I've seen in the 2009 season. Nick Lewis comes back and cracks down on Zeke Moreno, and he is not able to get up.
And is there anybody that does it better in the Canadian Football League than Nick Lewis?
There is Zeke Moreno. He's going to step up the line, then drop out again. Now he's going to chase Henry Burris here, and watch Nick Lewis peel back, and bam!
Whoa. He just got hit by a truck.
There is not a better receiver in the league when it comes to blocking or big hits on the crack blocks like that. He peels off and stepped in to a middle linebacker who weighs 256 pounds. And he put it right on his chin.
Zeke Moreno has doled out a lot of hits like that. Probably never has received one quite like that. Tonight's game story brought to you by Molson Canadian. This is our beer.
Well, we didn't wait long to get the Sam I Am line in. PK Sam, 54 yards receiving.
I resisted.
I know you did. A little chemistry with Pickett, who's played pretty well tonight. But Joffrey Reynolds, he's edging into 100 yards there. Henry Burris, numbers are down, but it was all defense in the first half for both these teams.
Jason Pottinger in. Zeke Moreno helped to the sidelines and helped up by Nick Lewis. And the crosser, Jermaine Jackson's got it. And there's a face mask as it came up, and flags flying everywhere. Everybody in the stadium saw Lynn J. Shell inadvertently, I think, get the hand on the grill, and that'll be 15.
Yeah.
Major foul, face mask. Toronto, number 21, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
The Argos are in a world of hurt here on this drive simply because this now adds 15 yards, and Shell knew it immediately, and he could have avoided it. And he got ripped by the coach on the sideline. The other thing is Zeke Moreno can't come back for another couple of plays.
He might be happy about that. First down. There's Burris. Looking deep, looking for Copeland, and that ball's incomplete.
Hawkeye field goal, be ready. Hawkeye field goal, be ready. Hawkeye field goal.
So you wonder if Zeke Moreno will be back tonight. We do know that he got all the sweet potato pie into this block.
Oh boy, I mean, this is as big as it gets when it comes to hits. Moreno had no idea he was coming. Two Warriors playing pro football at its best, folks. Moreno, you know, is waiting for his 3 plays to get back out there, and you got to love that about him.
Second down. Burris steps up, takes off. Remember, no Moreno, but they do make the play defensively. Kevin Iben, as usual, in the neighborhood.
Real sure tackler. One of the most sure tacklers in the league for quite a few years now. You're right, they go right after that void, right after where Moreno is usually patrolling, and see if they can take advantage of Pottinger, the replacement. But Kevin Iben steps up, gets around the block of Joffrey Reynolds, and makes a sure tackle.
So now DeAngelis comes on.
And that should give the Argos a chance to get Moreno back on the field in the next series.
Sandro from 42 yards out. Trying to kick Calgary into the lead. Two of the best kickers in the game haven't missed yet tonight. DeAngelis and the Stamps have the lead with 6:26 to go.
Saw some two Warriors playing pro football at its best, and let's take a look at the real gladiators. The real Warriors are men and women in the Canadian Forces. Congratulations to the HMCS Winnipeg and her crew. They arrived home safely to Victoria, BC last Friday after a 6.5-month deployment. Since last February, she was part of a NATO squadron fighting piracy in the Gulf of Aden. Took part in 2 major international military exercises, The HMCS Winnipeg sailed more than 90,000 kilometers, had stops in Japan, South Korea, Pakistan, as well as various ports in Africa and Australia. So welcome home to the HMCS Winnipeg.
Sandro DeAngelis giving Calgary its first lead since they kicked a 3-0 field goal 4.5 minutes in. The Argos trying to end a 9-game home losing streak, and they'll have to come from behind in the fourth quarter. Andre Dury across the 30-yard line. Back to work comes Cody Pickett and the Toronto offense.
Bart Andrus likes his accuracy, likes his poise in the pocket, has said it's his job to lose, at least for the time being, at least looking into the next few games, few weeks down the road. It's his job to lose now, but this is where you find out what a quarterback is made of. 6-13. His team has just gone down in points in the scoreboard by 3. Can Cody Pickett bring him back?
4 times the last 5 games, the Argos held under 20 points at 13 tonight. As Pickett looks deep for Chad Lucas, and all over him was Dwight Anderson. You could hear the Argo bench calling for the flag, and not much question.
Yeah, and I think this was pass interference. There's been a couple of questionable ones, but not this time. Dwight Anderson was in a trail position, meaning he allowed the Argo receiver to get in behind him, trailed behind him, and then when Lucas tried to fight back to the ball, Dwight Anderson wouldn't allow him to get back to the ball, and it was in the air, so that's where pass interference comes in.
Pass interference, Calgary number 33, first down.
There's your matchup. Chad Lucas on that corner route.
28-yard penalty, Cody Pickett back to work. Across the middle, a big catch. Chad Ripple comes up with a huge catch for the Argos at the 25.
Pays the price for it, but it was a big one. We talked about these Canadian receivers, Mike Bradwell, Chad Rempel, Tyler Scott. They've got to start to make some of these plays. Get themselves some big plays. That was set up, that play, by that pass interference up at the top of your screen. Let's show you that one more time. Chad Lucas on the corner. Now he's going to fight back. I know Calgary fans want to know if this was interference. See, Dwight Anderson can't push him like that with the ball in the air and not allow him back to that spot. That's the interference. It was a good call, and then Rempel makes another play.
28-yard penalty, 25 for Rempel, 53 yards, 2 plays, and now PK Sam bounces off contacted, steps out, a couple of yards short of another Argo first down.
You don't really know what a quarterback has, what's deep down inside there until you see him in these situations. You know, Bart Andrus likes Cody Pickett, wanted to give him an opportunity. He has done that over the last couple of weeks. This is a huge drive for Pickett. 326 in his first start versus the BC Lions, 243 so far, but more importantly, the Stamps go ahead. Pickett has got him back down in field goal range.
Under 5 minutes to go. Second down. Pickett with time and on the roll. Lots of time. Into the corner. Sam! Touchdown! PK Sam is back, and the Argos are back in the lead.
And the pocket presence and composure for Cody Pickett is like a veteran. He takes the shotgun, drops straight back, and watch how he knows that he has a little bit more time. Now it starts to break down, so he moves his feet, moves the pocket to the right, waits patiently, eyes down the field, and goes to the guy he knows best, PK Sam.
So the Argos have got a real adrenaline boost on offense with the return of PK Sam. Medlock the extra point. And the lead changes again. Wasn't much of a first half, but it's getting awfully interesting here in Toronto.
Well, and it's getting interesting watching Cody Pickett play. You can never have enough quality quarterbacks in your league, and it doesn't matter what league that is. Mentioned the 326. He did not throw an interception versus the Lions. He comes out And with 6 minutes left on the clock here, and just going down by a field goal in a Calgary drive, he brings the Argos all the way down and finishes with a major to PK Sam. That's tremendous composure and some pocket presence from Cody Pickett. Very impressive. And Sam to work back to his quarterback and keep the play alive. He looks good.
He does. In fairness to Kerry Joseph, I think a lot of the problems on the offense were at the receiver position, and with the poise of a veteran who understands defenses, first Lucas and now PK Sam, the Argos finally have something, and they do have an emerging quarterback as well.
You know, I couldn't agree more, Chris, because Kerry Joseph with PK Sam and Chad Lucas in the lineup, maybe he has as much success, but the bottom line is timing is everything. And Cody Pickett got his chance against BC. Maybe it was just good timing in a lot of ways. The offensive line also improving over the last couple of weeks. That helps. That's a big drive right there.
Here's Marcus Howell on a return. Ball in front right side, brought down at the 30-yard line. Brian Crawford in the middle of it, along with Jeff Johnson. And look who checks back in for duty.
Yeah, this is where you get, as a football fan, you just got to love and admire. I mean, players who get hit like Moreno got hit. Shake that off. And folks, I guarantee you, he is feeling the effects of that hit.
Maybe a little more tomorrow.
Well, right now, I guarantee he's trying to stay focused and just think of his assignment and try and keep it on the rails.
Burris has had Calgary's offense moving him largely because of this guy. Nick Lewis breaks away, looking for his first touchdown of the year and dragged down from behind. A touchdown-saving tackle by Willie Middlebrooks.
Nick Lewis is going to take advantage of play action. Watch how the linebackers step up when they see Henry Burris go to the fake to Joffrey Reynolds. They both step in the hole to take the run away, and that opens up Nick Lewis in behind them, and then he just fights off a couple of tacklers and gets himself down the middle of the field.
Broke a couple, 53 yards, his biggest play of the season. First down, Reynolds straight ahead, and he fumbled the football. Big pile up, who's got it? Argos have it. Kevin Huntley.
Oh, baby. Find a way to win. The last time the Toronto Argonauts won in Rogers Center was over a year ago on August 1st. You need to find a way to win when you're in a slump like that. Ball is knocked out there by Ronald Flemings. And the Argos recover.
Bart Andrus has said the biggest stat in football, turnovers. And the Argos had 3 on the night, 3 takeaways. Calgary, which has been so good this year, +8, -2 tonight.
Come on, let's finish.
And you can hear the message on the sidelines.
Yes.
This is far from done. Under 3 minutes to go. Pickett back to work. And that cross for Reggie McNeil punished by Malik Jackson as they give the 3-minute warning. The Argos on top. What was almost 13 months ago when the Argos last won a home game, thanks in large part to a 94-yard kick return by Dominique Dorsey. Argos have missed him, and they've missed winning on home field for 9 consecutive games. Bart Andrus yet to taste victory at home. He's 235 away, but a lot of work to be done. 2nd and 10. As Pickett underneath the completion, but short of the first down to Chad Lucas.
This game is far from over, and that was a big tackle by Dwight Anderson across the middle. Cody Pickett told me yesterday that in the game against the BC Lions, when it was slipping away in the 4th quarter, he put it on the offense and himself. He said, you know, if we got 1 or 2 more first downs, they could have won that game going away. And he said that was the difference. They just had a chance here to get a couple of first downs and eat up some time. Didn't do it. Now the defense has to come back on the field.
Buddy Chad Lucas said the same thing to me. 2nd and 8 late in the game. I got to make a catch on the sidelines. I didn't. Probably the reason we don't win. So if nothing else, they've been accountable. Not a good kick. Off the side of Medlock's foot. It'll be great field position and a great return. No yards flagged, but they'll keep the return. And Calgary's back in business at the Argo 39. So Medlock, who has been so good place kicking, has struggled punting, and that's a 9-yard net for the Argos on that kick.
He's finding ways to win football games. Henry Burris has been there many, many times. And now he doesn't have to push the ball too aggressively because he's already got tremendous field position. Brett run the regular offense with 1:57 left in this game.
Stamps lost a heartbreaker 2 weeks ago at Commonwealth. Late touchdown by Fred Stamps. And they break the Argos' hearts tonight. Crosser. And another first down for Calgary as Jermaine Copeland comes up with another catch.
It's either Copeland or it's Nick Lewis on that little play action toss over the middle.
Slot machines are back in business.
They are. They are. Last week, 66% of the yardage caught by the two slot backs, Nick Lewis and Jermaine Copeland.
You know, Henry Burris has been hot. He had 10 consecutive completions in this second half. There's Reynolds, a hold, broke a tackle, and then taken down at the 12-yard line. Will pull the safety. But Joffrey Reynolds, over 100 yards, 22nd time in his CFL career, the 5th against Toronto.
In the second half, we've seen some good football. Zeke Moreno's going to come on the blitz, so he buries himself in the line. Kevin Ivan had a chance, and we've seen some good sure tackles by Kevin Ivan in this game. And we also see a good running back in Joffrey Reynolds make a miss on that play.
Clock winding down. Calgary needs a touchdown to take the lead. First and 10. Play fake. Burris option and brought down at the 8. And that sets up a huge second down play.
Well, this is the down, yeah. And you got to think that 106 that George Cortez and John Hupnick are going to go anyway. They need the major. Down by 4. Peter Kuharczyk now is, what does he do down here? Oftentimes inside the 10, you're going to see pressure.
Last game, Calgary almost scored too quickly. Here's the pass for Copeland. Touchdown, Jermaine Copeland. And Calgary has the lead.
Now, have they learned from the Edmonton game? Because they did score quickly, like they have here. Now, the Toronto Argonauts should have over 40 seconds or right around there when they get the ball back.
Last game, it was 38 seconds remaining. Copeland scores. It was enough time for the Eskimos. Calgary back in the driver's seat. Second touchdown of the game for Copeland, 8th on the year. And the extra point makes it a 3-point Calgary lead.
Henry Burris told us that yesterday when they got in. And he said that we learned something from the Edmonton game. We have a young team, and our young team is learning how to try and make sure we finish the game. There's that out route, not drawn well, but run well. And a good throw by Henry Burris. Now, did the defense learn from the Edmonton game? And what does Cody Pickett have left?
You're right about the defense. And what about the cover team? Remember,
that's right.
The game 2 weeks ago, Tristan Jackson set things up for the Eskimo offense with a big kick return. So a game that started out in very
you gotta give
vanilla fashion has heated up for quite a finish.
Special teams coach Craig Dickinson worked on in their work week open field tackling for situations just like this one. You mentioned Tristan Jackson. They don't want a repeat performance here.
Kick it deep. Dury has trouble with it. Finds the handle. And back across as Dury reached the 39, but a decent return likely to be negated. And that will likely only make the field longer for Bart Andrus and Cody Pickett.
Sure does. It takes away the return, then you tack on the penalty yard.
Illegal block. Toronto number 40 on the return. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Veteran Brian Crawford, the culprit.
Pass interference penalties, Chris, and penalties on the return game. The biggest ones you can get, because they can take huge chunks away. Now Cody Pickett basically has the field he has to march.
Mentioned 38 seconds was the time left for the Eskimos. There are 38 seconds on the clock here. They got a long way to go. They need a field goal to tie. So they need about 50 yards of real estate starting at their 15. And Pickett looks for Tyler Scott, and he's got a catch at the 32.
Good start from Cody Pickett to drill one over the middle. That's the danger area. He's in the hurry up now. You're right, they need to get to about the 50. Medlock's got a big leg.
Remember, he went off the upright from 57 yards out on the final play against Winnipeg. Pickett back to work. Has time, and that one batted down. That's Devon Claybrooks getting a paw. Stops the clock with 25 seconds remaining.
He was kind of stymied at the line of scrimmage and just was patient.
John Hufnagel wondered how much of this game Claybrooks could play coming in for the first game of the year. Was he in 60-minute shape? Well, he makes a big play in the 60th minute here.
And if Pickett can move the ball inside the 50, he might need even more time out of it.
2nd and 10. Pickett checks down. Mike Bradwell got to get out of bounds, and does. Clock stopped 18 seconds, but it's now 3rd down Toronto.
18 seconds is time if they're efficient for about 3 plays. They'll need a play for the field goal as well, so they need to get this first down. And then about a 12, 15 yard, maximum 20 yard throw, and you put the football in Justin Medlock's range.
So it comes down to this. 3rd down, and they have to get beyond the 42. Pickett looked one way, the other, has a first down at the 45. Not sure if that clock moved, did it?
Oh, there's an Argo down. It's Reggie McNeil.
18 seconds.
Stamps are riled up at the bench because the clock did not move. It was a quick play, but not that quick.
No. And the Argos do not have a timeout. They used it early in the second half.
So the officials are going to have to visit the timekeeper's bench, and they'll reset this clock. Reggie McNeil limping off. It does give Toronto time to call plays, and they do have a first down. And now they tick it down 3 seconds to 15. So time for perhaps 2 plays to get at least to the Calgary 50.
Calgary secondary playing way off right now. 10, 12 yards of depth. They're usually playing up and aggressive. But you can see a whole bunch of them are right out of the screen.
We have yet to have an overtime game in the Canadian Football League this year. Cody Pickett trying to change that. Pickett taking a lot of time, dumps it off underneath. Chad Lucas gets to the 50. Now 5 seconds to go. And Medlock, will they call upon Medlock to try a 57-yarder?
I don't know that they have enough time to get another play in, Chris. 5 seconds would be a gamble. They're going to try it, looks like.
Boy, they're going to gamble. Remember, Medlock had the leg. It's got to be quick. It's not very quick. They're going to run out of time. They've got to go for it all. Looking downfield, Bradwell. And it's incomplete. And they do run out of time and don't get a shot at the end zone. Well, that will be hotly debated because Medlock had the leg to make a 57-yarder against Winnipeg, and he doesn't get a chance to kick one here. The Calgary Stampeders have handed Toronto their 10th consecutive home loss, and John Hufnagel's crew has evened its record at 4-4. And it's time for tonight's Gladiator.
It came right down to the wire between two players that laid it on the line tonight. One was Zeke Moreno, the other was Nick Lewis for the Calgary Stampeders, who made some big catches early on in the game. But what was most impressive with Nick Lewis's game is what he did when he didn't have the ball. That was a big play late, and that was the hit on the other front runner for Gladiator tonight, Zeke Moreno, and he just put him down on that run by Burris.
A guy who often lobbies for a watch earned one tonight. Friday Night Gladiator brought to you by Movado. The Movado 800 series, all about the art of performance where serious sports function meets power design. 5 catches, 118 yards. And Nick Lewis earns himself a Movado Series 800 watch. Well, it was an interesting night. Great finish, and Calgary prevails 23-20 here at Rogers Centre. That's the story from Toronto. Now let's check in with Dave Randor.
Thank you, Chris, and we'll put the wraps on this one with the TSN and Turning Point. And this one comes in the final minutes of the football game, and it is the play that wins it. Jermaine Copeland's second touchdown of the game. With 46 seconds to go, 23-20, Calgary pulls it out in Toronto. The Turning Point brought to you by Wendy's, the official hamburger of the CFL. The Calgary Stampeders roar back and break the hearts of the Argos despite 2 touchdown passes from Pickett to PK Sam. Toronto has now lost 10 straight at home and 4 in a row here this season, while Calgary is back to 500. That's it for Friday Night Football. SportsCenter is next.